Okay, so with this, let's go through question 1. The sequence of numbers is generated by the recurrence relation as shown. So it's a recurrence relation when you have a 0 and then a rule. Remember, this just means it's just to say this is the rule of how you get the next term, or if you've got the one before. So it wants the value of, pretty much it's saying term 2. So if you follow this rule, if I was trying to find R1, the rule says to do 2 minus the one that was before, which is R0. So if I did that, I can see R0 is 2. So it's 2 minus 2. That equals 0. So R1 equals 0. So if I go to find R2, it'd be 2 minus R1, because that's what the rule says. And I know that R1 is 0. So then 2 minus 0 is 2. So we get D. I strongly suggest you step it out, because it gets, obviously people are getting trapped. And if you visually see what you're doing, you probably won't make that mistake. Okay, so then the next one, this is the same thing, except like it's saying, all right, it's got a recurrence relation, so it's got the rule of how I can get the next one, but it wants to tell me, it wants me to find what T4 is and minus what T3 is. So if I look over here, T1 is going to be 2 times the one before, which is 5, plus 5. So T1 ends up being 15. T2 must be 2 times the one before, which is 15, plus 5. So that would be 35. T3 must be 2 times 35 plus 5, which would equal 75. T4 would be 2 times 75 plus 5, which equals 155. You could do it on your calculator if you want to get them. I'll just pause it. So you can do it on the calculator. So if you say press 5, that's our TO, press enter. Then it's saying to times it by 2 and add 5. So that's T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. Oh no, sorry, we only need T4 and T5. So you can see the question actually said to do T4, which is 155, minus T3, which is 75. So you get 80. Okay, so you can see if I did T4 minus T3, that's 155 minus 75, which equaled 80. So we get B. Okay? All right, now the next one. Nidhi owns equipment that is used 10 hours per day for 365 days in the year. Okay. The value of the equipment is using the unit cost method. So remember, you're going to have to start getting used to that, because it may mean you need to go to your formula sheet for unit costs. Now, it says the value of the equipment can be used after n years. So you've got to be careful. This is a formula for n years. So it's dropping by 5471 per year, which means all the uses in that year cost that much. So the value of the equipment is depreciated by, so they want to know per hour, like we can work out per hour, because this is unit cost. So if you think about it, D equals like the drop, if you look at your formula, drop in value over the number of uses. So if you think about it, it's dropping by 5475 in the year. And how many uses? It's 10 hours per day. So 10 times 365 times a year. Yeah. So if we do that, that's going to give me the hour cost. So every hour it's used. So if I do that on the calculator, I can go, sorry, what was it? 475. 5475. Oops. Is that right? Yep. Over 10 times 365. Okay, so it's $1.50 per hour. So this is the number of hours used, and that, so it's $1.50 per hour. So it is A. All right, so let's look at the next one. A photocopier is purchased for $240,000. So that's your VO, and is depreciated using unit cost again at a rate of 0.3 cents per copy. So that's every use. Now here again, it's doing a year. So this recurrence relation shows that in 1 year, so 1 year, it drops $960. That's how I can see. So the recurrence relation could also represent the value of machine if the flat rate depreciation was used. So what it says, what is the annual rate? So when you got to look at, that's what you want. When they say annual rate, that means that little r is the question. And if you look at it, we're doing flat rate depreciation. So if you go to your formula sheet, I'm just going to put, okay, so I've gone to the formula sheet and we're looking at flat rate now, if you look at it, and we're looking at the D, because that's the amount of depreciation per period. Now you can see we've got a formula here for we've got a formula here for D. That's what I'm going to use because R's that little question that I've got to answer. So if I go back to, sorry, oh my God, where's that? Where's Word? Sorry. Oh my God. So if I go back to here, I know I've got the D. I can see here's the D. That's what it is. And I had a formula for it, which was this. So I can say, all right, well, 960 was the D. R I don't know. And I can see that VO is 24,000. What do we think we do when we get to this point? Yeah, good. So we're going to use solve function and comma R. So if we go to, where's my calculator? Now, if we go to the calculator, so menu 3.1 for solve, 960 equals little r over, little r over 100, move over the side, times the VO, which I knew was 24,000, and then comma R. Now enter 4, so 4%. There we go. All right, now Sally buys a machine for printing brochures. The machine was purchased for 17,000, so you got a VO there. She prints 25,000 brochures a year. The value of the machine depreciates using unit cost method. The machine reaches a scrap value of 2,000 after 5 years. What that's done is told you that V5 is 2,000. When they say scrap value, because when something depreciates, you say it's a scrap, its new lower price is a scrap price. Yeah. So that's what that is. So the rule for after in dollars after M brochures have been printed. So if you think about it, we want to go back to our summary sheet. We want unit cost and we want it says the rule. So when they write the rule, means we want the nth term 1. So if I go to our formula sheet, so unit cost, this is the rule we want. So VO, you know that. Remember it was 17,000. And D, we might need to work that out. Okay. So we can see we've got a formula for that. The amount it depreciated per period over the number of uses. So we'll go back to here. So first I've got to find, so the VN rule was VO minus N times D. Okay, I need to know what D was. So the D was the drop in value over the number of uses. So if I think of the drop in value, it went from 17,000 down to 2,000. So has it dropped 15,000? But you can just put it like that if you want. And then the number of uses, it does 25,000 per year. But how many years have we been? 5. So if we do that, so we get our calculator. So I said 17,000. I said minus the 2,000 over, it used it 25,000 each for those 5 years. So it's 12 cents a use per use. So now I can write this VN rule. What was VO? 17,000 minus N times 0.12. So which one's that answer? E. Good. All right. Jeff purchased a computer for 4,500. So this is VO. It depreciates using the flat rate of 10%. So there's little r. The recurrence relation. So if you go to your recurrence relation for flat rate, is here. So flat rate, you want the recurrence relation. So you've got to write VO, then it's VN plus 1 and a minus D. So this is what you're going to be using. So, where is it? Oh my God. Okay, so we looked at we can see we have to write VO for flat rate, so which was 4,500. Then we have to write the VN plus 1, which is VN minus D. So if you looked at D was the rate divided by 100 times VO. So we would do 10 over 100 times 4,500. So 10% is, okay, so which one, this is reducing, so which one, the formula, this would be VN minus 450, so which one is it? A. Good. Okay, so it says consider the recurrence relation below. The recurrence relation could be used to model. So when it's like we're adding the same amount each time. So which one in our formulas has that each time? Yep, simple interest. So compound doesn't have that sort of thing. So what we're looking at here, is this formula sheet. So we can see that simple interest has that adding. Compound interest is a timing, you're timesing by a number. So we know that it's adding. So we could say, all right, it's simple interest. So let's get rid of those ones. Now, what we're adding, remember that's the D, and the D is found by going the rate over 100 times VO. Okay, so I need to know what the rate is because they've got the simple interest with three different options. But I can see that D is 80, and I can also see that VO is 2,000. So you could do this one again and solve. And what do you get? 4%. So you get R equals 4, so you know that A is the answer.